You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Hey folks, and welcome to another video from aplaintruth.info. Today it's the end of October. I think it's October 27th, a Sunday. And today we're going to get into the Agenda 21 in the aftermath of the California fires. It's happening swiftly. It's happening fast. It's been planned for a long time. This was premeditated. I'm going to show you how it was premeditated, and there's some really nefarious stuff going on here. So this is an article from today's Sunday paper in the Press Democrat. Actually, it's October 29th, sorry. And footprints of the wildfires. And you see what's happening here. The Fountain Grove neighborhood, which I'm going to show you pictures, and we toured yesterday, as well as the Mark West Springs area, Safari West, and the Calistoga Napa wine country. This was called the Tubbs Fire. And you see the footprint here. The red is where this fire occurred here in 2017. And then the other fire is the Hanley fire in blue. And guess, can you figure out what they're going to do, folks? Well, here, first look at these pictures. Let me open this up. Here's some of the pictures of the devastation. And you'll notice that there's areas that were completely, absolutely torched down to the ground. Nothing left. This fire only happened within a couple hours, folks. You see a home perfectly fine here, and everything else is destroyed. And you look at just the decimation that went on in these areas around golf courses, again, around major roads. Check out this. Look at this car, folks. What does it take to melt all the plastic, all the glass, and melt it down? No tires, down to the steel rims. What kind of heat does that take? I mean, the devastation here is absolutely mind-blowing when you drive around all the areas and see that several areas had complete devastation, while other areas had selected devastation. But the trees, we'll get into that in a minute, but the trees were fine in a lot of areas. Now you can see here, look at this home here. This home is perfectly fine, but it destroyed it all the way around here. How did it miss that home? Wonder who lives there, a couple people were asking about. Maybe we could look into this. But look at the total devastation, and there's another house perfectly standing where everything's burned around it, and the fire came right up to it. And look at this main street here, the devastation. It had to jump all the way across 4 lanes of road, the fire did. But the devastation, you just got to see it to believe it. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Look at this house standing. Everything else is destroyed, but one house is left standing, 2 houses. I mean, this is just unbelievable. It's still, to this day, going around and looking at everywhere. Look at this house standing here. Look at the rest of the houses all around them are fine. Somebody should do a check on the Zillow and find out who lives in these houses and see if there's any connection to laser companies or officials or anything like that. But what I want to get into right now is what the Press Democrat has put in their paper. And again, here's the Tubbs fire and the Hanley fire from 1964. And what they're doing is they're making a fire hazard severity zone. They're declaring that the Fountain Grove area is a fire severity zone where they're going to start to question whether or not they should rebuild in the entire area. We're talking over 500 homes here. I kid you not. Hang on a second. So there's the article from today, October 28th or 29th, whatever it is. But some are asking whether it's wise to let one neighborhood in particular, Fountain Grove, be rebuilt. Now, it burned down the ground twice in 53 years. Sonoma County Supervisor Susan Gorin says, I hesitate to even suggest this, but many people are starting to say, many people, why are we in the city realm, why are we thinking about permitting the rebuilding of Fountain Grove? 500 homes, folks. Putting our community in a fire-prone areas jeopardize all of us and frighten us horribly. See how they get a resident, Marcia Taylor, told the city council. Putting our community in a fire-prone has jeopardized us all. We need to slow down. We need to be thoughtful and look at urban planning mistakes. And don't repeat these terrors over and over again. One of the most striking images to emerge in the aftermath is not a photograph, but a map comparing the footprint of the deadly Tubbs fire. In 5 decades between the two blazes, thousands of homes have been added to the landscape. The Hanley fire was started in '64 by a deer hunter who flicked. All right, so I want to give you a picture here of this heat map. And this shows the fire before and after pictures. And you can see the red here is all vegetation. And if I move it over this way, you can see all the vegetation and the homes destroyed. I believe this is in the, this is in the Fountain. and then you click over this way and you can see where the homes were. But how did the fire possibly cause all this damage? So to show you here, this is a very cool map. I'll put in the show liner notes, but here's the before. And you just pull it across. Included these exact areas for retargeting, for green design, Agenda 21 stuff. And I'll put that in the show notes as well. But they're rolling out the Agenda 21 here in the local news, and showing you these articles here. Santa Rosa contractor builds tiny homes for Sonoma County fire victims. This was right after the event. You've got these people all happy that they have a little home that they can live in. It should be noted that a few years ago, on the same exact day, the New York Planning Department, New York City, and San Francisco City Planning Department at the same time, exactly the same day, approved stack 'em and pack 'em houses of, I believe, 250 or 275 square feet on the same day. And now we're seeing Agenda 21 in action up here. And this is a very important document now I want to bring your attention to. And this is one of the big smoking guns here of how this is going down. This is an article from October 7th in the Press Democrat. And this is 2 days before the fire. The fire started at night of October 8th. Santa Rosa may boost housing densities in exchange for affordable units. So the day before these massive fires, and now they're talking about kicking people out of Fountain Grove homes and not being able to go back because it's a fire hazard. The city is seeking feedback on it. Plan calls for increasing incentives known as density bonuses that would allow 100% more housing units on a particular property than regular zoning would allow. This means 100 units could add 60, 80, or 100 more homes. See what's going on here, folks? The upside is the city's stock of affordable and workplace housing could significantly rise, relieving some pressure on residents squeezed by high rents and soaring home values. The challenge will be dealing with neighborhood opposition to larger, taller apartment buildings that will invariably follow proposed increases in density. This is a huge smoking gun. October 7th shows pre-planning of the firestorm event, the torch event, that took out 100,000 people have been displaced or out of homes in the Sonoma Napa areas, and there's thousands and tens of thousands who have no home to go to. We'll get into a little more here. So I want to bring your attention over here. Let's click on this. And this will all be in the show notes. So I want to go over quickly what is Agenda 21, Global Governance 2030, 2045, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. All of this has been reported and been forecast now for decades. This report from Iron Mountain, this was done, I think, in the 70s, talked about how they were going to reorganize Global Governance 2025, about how they're going to reorganize these two documents. I'll put in the show notes: Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, Soft Power, report from Iron Mountain, should be critical reads by everyone. And then with Pacific Partnership, Codex Alimentarius, ban vitamins, nutritional supplements, local grown organic foods, promoting vaccines. This is a very important quote here. There's a traditional ruling class, a superclass that agrees on establishing a world government. I submit they already have a world government. Your debt follows you everywhere except for Korea, North Korea, Iraq, Iran, and Syria, formerly Afghanistan, formerly Iraq, and now they're taking over Libya. So centralized power wants central banking. The goal of the superclass is not to lose their wealth and power to transnational middle class, but to extinguish the notion of a middle class and to transnationalize a lower, uneducated, labor-oriented class through which they will secure ultimate wealth and power. The economic crisis serves these ends. Well, we're over $21 trillion in debt in this country, and it'll be very, very easy for them to crash the economy now and destroy the middle class in its entirety. Right now, they're doing the slow boil. So what is Agenda 21? For teaching our children that we are the parasite and we must preserve this environment to imminent domaining large swaths of property, Agenda 21 is in full force today. using terms like localism, sustainability, communitarianism, and volunteerism to steer those in rural and suburbs into stack and pack micro apartments for better control. The agenda is nothing more than a massive corporate land grab for what is left of our precious natural resources. Okay, now this is the precious national resources here map, and I'll include this, and it's a very important map to study. This is the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity Wildlands Project, UN and U.S. Man and Biosphere Programs, and World Heritage Program as a vital step in attaining sustainable development. For whom? This red here, core reserves and corridors, little to no human use. Look at this, folks. All up and down the Cascades, Sierra Nevadas, and here in Santa Rosa, where I'm at right now. Look at, they're planning on little to no human use, and we just have to have these incredible fires that no one's ever seen before come out, and now they're saying we're not going to rebuild. This is what I'm talking about, folks, and we'll put this map in here. Please study it. But look at the heavy preponderance of activities of no human use in the entire Pacific Northwest and in California, and then down here in New Mexico and Arizona. This is all part of their plans. Sustainable development addresses land use through 2 action plans. The first of which is the Wildlands Project, is a plan to eliminate human presence on over 50% of the American landscape and to heavily control human activity on most of the rest of the American lands. I kid you not. Areas that have become biosphere reserves and heritage sites are systematically being closed, even to recreational use. The most significant tools of Wildland Project are the rapidly expanding impositions of habitat protection in the endangered species and various conservation easements as well. So if we click over here, we can see the Agenda 21. This is their stated plan, folks. It's in their documentation. The biodiversity is seeking to end national sovereignty, state planning and management of all land resources, financials, ecosystems, deserts, forests, mountains, oceans, and fresh waters, biotechnology, and ensuring equity. The state to define the role of businesses and financial resources. Abolition of private property. Restructuring the family unit. Children raised by the state. This is why they're having the preschool increases and getting kids from 0 to 3 into schools. People told what their jobs will be. This is why in the Common Core they're taking all the kids' school documentation so they can organize the kids into the jobs they're going to design for them. Major restrictions on movement. Also the minimum wage to $15 after they haven't raised it in like 15 years. That's another part of it. Everybody's going to be making $15 an hour, so all they can afford is stack them and pack them. Creation of human settlement zones. Mass resettlement as people are forced to vacate land where they currently live, dumbing down education, and the mass global depopulation in pursuit of all above. The Local Governments for Sustainability, or ICLEI, and other organizations are integrating a plan into every village, town, city, and region, and it's already becoming widespread across the world. I can leave the notes in here, but here's a very important lady, Rosa Corey. She wrote Behind the Green Mask, the UN Agenda 21. I highly, highly recommend you read this book. It's very critical. She's here in Santa Rosa. She documented years ago what was going to happen along with Deborah Tavares. And also we've had updates. I've gotten some comments that Deborah Tavares is alive and well, so that's really good news. And the others that haven't gotten into the Georgia Guidestones, the very last thing, number 10 on the commandments of the Georgia Guidestones is don't be a cancer on this earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. All right, so let's get into a little bit of how they're adapting the Agenda 21 right here in Santa Rosa after these firestorms that started October 29th. They're moving very, very quickly. This is the danger opportunity. When written in Chinese, the word crisis is also the other represents opportunity. Here's a little picture, the most selective forest fire in history. You can see it burned down all these houses. Didn't burn that house, didn't burn the tree. These are eucalyptus people. Eucalyptus trees go, you can breathe on them and eucalyptus will catch fire. I mean, this is ridiculous, folks. It was targeted, it was selected, directed energy weapons. And we're having, over in the West, extreme fire behavior ruled this summer again, burning more than 8 million acres. 8 million. The cost of fighting wildfires blows right through the wildfire budget, and then money that could have been spent on fire prevention is consumed by wildfire costs. San Luis Obispo, just the other day, had a 114-degree temperature in the end of October on the California coast where the marine layer is supposed to cool things off. It was 100 degrees in San Diego the other day, and it was 80 degrees over the hills east in the desert. And they're blaming it on the Santa Ana winds, and they're creating this new term up here called the Diablo winds. I mean, it's just Orwellian theater, folks. This is Shakespearean tragedy live. St. Louis Obispo, 104 degrees, 108 degrees, 100 degrees. This is on the coast in central California. And it goes on. And so we're seeing that only 42 victims of the Northern Cal wildfires. This is absurd. Thousands and thousands of people were burned past their bones in over 2,500 degree temperatures in their homes. And this is one reason you'll see why EPA, they're not stating it, by why the EPA is going into the places first, because they don't want people going back to their homes and finding bones of loved ones. The full recovery from these are all recent articles the past few days. Full recovery from California wildfire may take years. Number of buildings lost in the wine country wildfires said to be rises to 8,700. This is kind of an interesting one. Carl's Jr. in Santa Rosa catches fire while making burgers for first responders. In the midst of preparing 165 superstar cheese double burgers for first responders, a kitchen fire damaged the fast food restaurant. We made it through the big one, only to be taken out by this. Oh, gosh, can't make this stuff up. All right, and there's another thing that we need to get into. The homeless. They're being left out of this whole thing. The homeless and the immigrants. FEMA would not allow immigrants that didn't have papers into the evacuation centers. They did this the same in Hurricane Harvey in Houston, which I documented. This is part of their business plan. Red Cross, they're evildoers, folks. They were kicking people out, as I documented, out into the streets during the rain after people that could move back in their homes. So some of the homeless moved into the shelters, but also they were the evacuees and they threw them out. Red Cross was just appointing people for police to escort out into the rain. Now this is going to put thousands and thousands of people more onto the streets. Here they're saying that over 100,000 people had to evacuate their homes. In our area, 100,000 people don't have homes to go back to. There's nothing left. All right, so here's another problem we got going on. After the Napa fires, toxic ash threatens soil streams in the San Francisco Bay. So now that we have all the coal tar ash, the toxic ash from the fires on the hills, they're going to run down into our reservoirs and contaminate our water supplies. This is going to be more things we're going to have to deal with. Meanwhile, City Council will be considering similar emergencies. Council members will discuss creating special zoning districts that would include areas damaged by the fire. Property owners inside would be exempt from certain regulations. Former FEMA Director James Lee Witt to lead local organizations to rebuild the North Bay. So they brought in Mr. Head Honcho James Lee Witt. I think he was appointed by Clinton. He was introduced by, this guy's a real scumbag, Mike Thompson, at a news conference here last Wednesday at the Sonoma State Community Student Building. So they created this thing called Rebuild North Bay, a nonprofit organization formed to coordinate recovery in the region. Witt was tapped for the job as interim executive director. Darius Anderson, the Sonoma developer and Sacramento lobbyist, is managing the Sonoma Media Investments, which owns the Press Democrat, among many other newspapers. We'll get into that in a little bit. Other members of the organization include former director of Sonoma Land Trust, Ralph Benson, the dean of School of Business and Economics, Bill Silver. DeWitt was hired by Louisiana governor for Hurricane Katrina. He was hired for his firm he has a firm for disaster recovery to prepare, process, and recover claims for damages from FEMA. So while the guy's running FEMA, he's also CEO of International Code Council. He's also serving on the management team of Global Options Group LLC. Also has the company James Witt Associates LLC for disaster preparedness to local, state, and state governments. So here he's wearing a FEMA hat, yet he's also got the business to help with disaster recoveries. The firm merged with O'Brien's Response Management to become Witt O'Brien's as executive board chair in 2015. It was acquired by Secor. Secor is a disaster management company. So here's a picture of Santa Rosa High School. This was the other day when people came to see their fate. All these people lost their homes, and they're waiting to see what their government officials were going to do with them, and they became very angry because what they heard. Here in an article, this was kind of article that was meant to excite. Rents jumped 36% here after wildfires. But if the headline is misleading in that they included only high-end homes in the skewed numbers. But it jumps out that rents were jumping 36% because of the tight local market expected to get even tighter after the fires. So here comes the EPA crews start the fire cleanup. So the Environmental Protection Agency has joined us, and they're going to be marked for EPA collection teams scheduled to start removing hazardous materials. They're Reno-based on a scene coordinator assigned to Sonoma County. Mostly we're making it safe for cleanup crews to follow behind these guys. So there are EPAs coming in, and the guys coming in behind it is U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. What's missing? The people. The people going back to their homes. They've been told it's toxic and they can't go even look for items in their homes. Senator Mike McGuire called it the largest cleanup in Golden State history. The debris removal could be hampered by a slow response to the controversial requirement that homeowners submit a right of entry form allowing Army Corps crews to work on their property. He acknowledged that touching the surface of the loss, which includes about 2,900 homes in Santa Rosa, including Coffee Park and Fountain Grove. The controversy over the forms and debris removal process centers around the blanket decision to remove foundations based on the assumption they were weakened by fire and concern over the possible cost of the program widely publicized as free to homeowners. Critics say the cleanup will be overly expensive because it would include foundations and assert that homeowners may lose some insurance proceeds because the form requires homeowners to assign to the county all insurance payments earmarked for debris removal. See how this is working? Then they graze it, they level it, and then they say you can't move out in your homes because now this is a severe fire area and we're not going to approve any home rebuilding. The toxic sweep was the first step of a massive post-fire cleanup. The EPA and state officials will survey all the homes, schools, and buildings turned to ash before any debris is removed. Well, what they're doing is they're checking for bones, folks. They're checking for bodies. That's why they're in there and not allowing people in. The job is staggering with over 8,000 buildings. The Santa Rosa City Council and Sonoma County Board of Supervisors approved the plans. Rebuild, rebuild. That's the only word you hear around here, said Maggie London, who lost her home. There's a sense of community. We're all going to rebuild. We aren't going anywhere. I want to rebuild. So this is how they do it, folks. They put these little letters to the editor. They use fake people or real people to say these things. But this was in the comment section of the Press Democrat, Santa Rosa here. It was shocking to see my old neighborhood decimated by the firestorms. Coffee Park was also victim to the 70s dead worm urban design. So they got a cause d'etat for this happening previously. The dead-end cul-de-sac mazes designed for cars, not people, where a half-mile walk requires 2 miles of detours and takes 15 minutes to drive 3 miles for milk. Coffee Park has a unique opportunity to rebuild into mixed-use, viable neighborhood. Let's face it, millennials don't want to end up in suburbia and boomers want out. Let's face it. People desire to walk or pedal to their jobs. People desire to walk or pedal to their jobs. Schools, shops, common service, and restaurants without burning gas or risking dangerous speedways such as Hopper Lane. Innovative people-based designs enjoy higher demand, real estate value, and resident enjoyment. Rebuilding can blend the best of what people want while doing what Americans love to do. Innovate, design, build, create value, make money, and work together on shared solutions. The city of Santa Rosa can help residents rise from the ashes and rebuild a truly walkable neighborhood. Agenda 21. Streets are walkable. People gather in pleasant, common places. Let's get to work rebuilding Coffee Park and lead in rebuilding America. That's the way they're rolling here, folks.
Plan Bay Area 2040 is a roadmap to help Bay Area cities and counties plan for future transportation and housing. How and where should we accommodate more people and more jobs? How should our transportation system support this growth? What policies do we need to achieve goals for a strong economy, healthy environment, and more social equity? Our challenge is to plan for expected growth while preserving the unique character of our communities. The Metropolitan Transportation Commission, or MTC, and the Association of Bay Area Governments, or ABAG, update the region's long-range plan every 4 years to incorporate new visions, strategies, funding, and public comment. The Connected Neighborhoods scenario emphasizes expected growth in people and jobs in areas near major transit corridors, prioritized by cities as being the best places for new development. Expansion of roadways would be limited, with more focus on modernizing and expanding our transit system. Investments in bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure would help create more walkable and bikeable downtowns. The big city scenario concentrates expected growth in the Bay Area's 3 largest cities, San Jose, San Francisco, and Oakland. Neighboring towns already well connected. Based on your input, a preferred scenario will be constructed from the 3 alternatives. This will form the foundation for Plan Bay Area 2040 to be adopted in the summer of 2017. So tell us, when you think ahead to 25 years from now, which scenario will help us create a Bay Area?
So as you can see, they've been planning this walking towns localized stack and pack Agenda 21 community for quite some time. This is from the Greenbelt Alliance, ready to play a role in planning recovery and resilient future. For decades, people wanted single-family homes or willing to drive the American dream, the white picket fence. That's put many in California's in the fire zone. So clearly a lot of people are in dangerous areas. John Kelly is a research ecologist with U.S. Geological Survey. About a third of Californians live in the wildland urban interface, or WUI. He says he's in downtown San Jose, where a fleet of cement trucks is pouring foundations for a huge project. It's going to have hundreds of units of housing, retail space, and it's walking distance to the public transit. See how they're setting the table on this, folks? And also I want to bring your note to this unfortunate death that occurred just the other day. Santa Rosa Planning Commissioner Sean Faber dies at 50 years old. Faber and Farewell, co-founders of Hybrid Core Homes. Firm's announcement of Faber's passing described him as the spark of innovation that drove us to be on the forefront of the housing industry. It sought to marry the affordability and efficiency of manufactured homes with the desirability of stick-built construction, selling modular, factory-built built housing cores that include kitchens, bathrooms. Faber was a creative guy and amazingly talented. He's also dedicated to community friends and served on both the Planning Commission and Design Review Board. Now, this was sent to me by Kathleen E., very important document here. Before I get into it, let me give you a little more background on Mr. Faber. Served on the city's Design Review Board for 6 years, served for 4 years as Planning Commissioner, during which he ran for council. He was reappointed to fill the vacancy, and he helped resign to seek election to city council. He had a lot of experience in the buildings. He was a very creative guy. He was amazingly talented. So this was sent documentation to me. The Climate Action Plan for the City of Santa Rosa, adopted in June 5th, 2012. Now you see up here I put in the term walking, because they're going to be planning on making everybody walk. Let's see how many times they talk about walking and biking in the Santa Rosa area. Action items: walking, biking, carpooling, promote walking. I mean, it goes on and on. Improve non-vehicle network to promote walking and biking. You see it all over this, all over. And now we got the stack and pack 'em. Safe routes to school encourage walking and biking. They want to get us out of the cars. We're having driverless cars coming up, battery cars. That's why they got rid of the refineries in Hurricane Harvey, one of the reasons. But we'll include this in the document. And then she sent me this other document here that was a censure, it looks like, a warning to Mr. Faber. It was alleged that you participated in making or influenced governmental decisions regarding Gregory D. Service of Service Structures, a construction management firm in Redwood Enterprises. Specifically alleges that in 4 instances you voted on City of Santa Rosa Design Review Board matters from 2003 to 2005. The complaint alleges that you failed to disclose income from customers listed on your website on your statements of economic interest. I have no idea if there's a smoking gun here, and maybe some of you sleuths can go check into it. But he passed away just days after the fire started. Another just weird coincidence in these many weird coincidences. So I want to bring it over here to one more thing. This is the Sonoma Design Group that is forming the Rebuild North Bay. And look at this guy. This guy owns the Press Democrat. He owns the newspapers. They're part of the Sonoma Design Group we're going to get into in the next video. Smoking a cigar with his really fancy shirt and his priceless artwork. Darius Anderson of Kenwood Investments. Given the devastation, the Sonoma Media Investments Group is going to go ahead and help rebuild North Bay with their main goals, and list all these guys, which we'll get into in the next video, Doc. And they formed the Redwood North Bay Relief Fund that's taken in over $11 million of donated money. So we have some other repurposing we're going to try and get that for. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Agenda 21 is here. We'll keep chronicling how they're rolling it out in Santa Rosa. And also I'm going to start providing some solutions and some ideas of how we can mitigate the Agenda 21, the International Community Alliance, which has moved into here, the Sonoma Media Group, the Sonoma Design Group, the laser companies that are all over here as well. But please educate yourself about Agenda 21, because I guarantee you they are in your neighborhood too, and come into a neighborhood near you and study that biodiversity map. And let's raise hell, folks. Let's start our own fire, backfire. We're not going to allow them to do this. We're going to come up with our own ideas. We're going to inform all those who've lost their homes what their agenda is in the communities here, and we're going to be active. We're going to take action. This is the time, folks. If you don't do it now, I don't know what's going to wake you up. I don't know what's going to wake you up. So please, be the change you wish to see. Speak out. Do your homework. Get the book by Rosa Corey, Behind the Green Mask, Agenda 21. Bone up of what's going on. They're using weather war terrorism. We've had hurricanes. We had fires that no fireman has ever just seen before. It's 2.5 weeks later. They still haven't come up with any reason why these fires occurred. They may never. They may not just even care to come up with a reason. All they're interested in is get stack and pack them, get everybody out of the burbs and the rurals and into the cities for greater management so they can have the areas to themselves. Speak out. This is a plain truth. We'll catch you on the next video. Hey, and thanks for all your support, guys. It really means a lot. The comments, you guys are helping further the cause. Your comments are helping. A lot of you are contributing additional information that's helping make these videos more effective and more important. So keep it going. And we're gonna change what has to be changed, folks. We're not gonna let them do it. It's up to us. Tag, you're it. All right, plain truth out. We'll catch you next video, Doc. Thanks for listening.